What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to be going over the team selection for the upcoming Game Week 17. So I thought this Game Week 17 team selection was going to be quite a predictable one. I was almost going to bank a transfer, but now, because of these postponements that we might actually have in Game Week 17, my team might be in disarray. So right off the bat, I wanted to just let you guys know that if you're here for a definite team selection, a concrete one, unfortunately, this won't be the video for you. I'm going to be going over as many scenarios as I can. As I mentioned, with the postponements, we can't really predict what's going to happen. So hopefully you guys will still stick around for this video. But what I will be doing is I first will be giving you guys the most up-to-date news as possible. As of Monday night when I am recording this video, I will upload it straight after I edit it, so you guys are getting the most up-to-date news as possible. And then tomorrow, if we do get more news, I will also communicate that to you guys. But I guess the concrete part of this video will be doing a review of the Game Week 16 team and seeing how our team got along, because it actually was quite a good game week, even all the transfers and hits that went around. And then I'll be focusing on my transfer plans and then the team selection leading up to the Game Week 17 deadline. So that's something you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video has been sponsored by FantasyFootballFix.com. Use the website or their newly updated application. Make use of their price predictor tool to check your own players' prices as well as who's dropping and rising in price. Improve your rank by making use of their advanced tools as well as the algorithm, which helps back up your own FPL decisions. Win your mini leagues by keeping track of your main mini league rivals. Upload your FPL squad for free at FantasyFootballFix.com. So first of all, going over the update and the news basically that we have received today about the potential postponements. The first one and the big one is going to be Man United taking on Brentford. So news came out this morning that Man United had a couple of positive tests, but then it actually extended to them having to shut down the entire training ground for today's practice. And therefore the threat of postponing their game tomorrow against Brentford is actually quite high. Now I know a lot of us actually do own these United and Brentford assets. There's going to be a ton of FPL managers without players in their squads. So I guess we're all in the same boat for this one, but I think some of us are on the lower decks versus you guys on the upper decks with maybe one or two players. So if I had to give a prediction about if this game will go ahead or not, I do think there's a high likelihood that it's actually going to be cancelled. And that's going to be quite an annoyance, but I guess this is how the season's going to be. FPL last season was exactly the same. We had one or two postponements, and we kind of have to take it on the chin and deal with what's in front of us. Now, there are some other fixtures that might be postponed. I think Leicester, Brighton, those are sort of teams also under threat. We have Man City, but I think the Man City game was only positive tests within the Man City support staff, so not any players at the current moment. So I think that game will be fine to go ahead against Leeds. But there are some other games here and there. Aston Villa as well. They have a few positive tests, so a lot of teams currently under this threat of postponements. So just keep your transfers in your back pocket, please. That's probably the one thing that I will communicate to you guys is please keep those transfers as long into the deadline as possible and use them as late as possible, because we might actually not get news and press conferences from some of these managers. There's a lot of fixtures coming up Wednesday, Thursday. Not all the managers will be giving us news or delivering us a press conference before the deadline, so that'll add to the kind of unknowns as well. So there's a massive amount of unknown news before the Game Week 17 deadline. But as I said, we're kind of all in the boat. Some of us affected more than others, unfortunately, but what's in front of us are these postponements, and how we deal with them will make us better FPL managers. But first, before we get into all the craziness and all the kind of predictions about the postponements and my team selection, I'm going to be going over the Game Week 16 team, because I just want some stability in this video and at least we know what happened in the prior game week. So Game Week 16, my own personal team used 2 free transfers to bring in David De Gea and also Cristiano Ronaldo. Now in hindsight, might not be in the best of moves if that United game is actually cancelled or postponed, but at least in Game Week 16, they did deliver me some points. So 10 points from De Gea, 9 points from Ronaldo. I took out Harry Kane and Sanchez from Brighton. So both those players delivered 0 points. So I think the net profit on those two moves looks quite good. We ended the game week with 73 points on Saturday. That looked like quite a good score, but on Sunday, some other differentials managed to chip in, and therefore green arrow was taken from a big green arrow to only a slight one. So currently just above that 180k mark. At least it is a green arrow, never going to kind of complain, and at least we have completed the Christmas challenge of getting a red arrow and a green arrow in the month of December. Starting off with the bench, we have Ben Foster, who did not play due to injury. Also, we have Smith Rowe, who was injured but didn't come off the bench. And I think the reason for that is that Arsenal were looking quite comfortable against Southampton, so I don't really think there was a need to bring him on from an attacking point of view. But it does worry me slightly that Arsenal played so well without him, and therefore Arteta might keep that starting 11 exactly the same for the upcoming game week, and Smith Rowe might be on the bench. But at least he was on the bench, so it shows that he's not fully injured and he might make a comeback in the starting 11, but I do think his minutes will be managed as he gets that match fitness up. Adam Armstrong actually did start the game against Arsenal but went off in the first half with an injury. It was unconfirmed if it was a calf or a knee injury or hamstring injury, but it does look like he might not recover from it for the upcoming game week. Douglas Luiz, a tough game against Liverpool, actually played relatively well, I do think, having watched that entire 90 minutes. Only 2 points for him as there wasn't too many goals and too many clean sheets from an Aston Villa point of view, but at least from a Liverpool point of view, we did get some points. But going on to the starting 11, David De Gea, our new goalkeeper, keeping us a lovely 10 points. 3 bonus points, I do believe, with I think 1 save point. Was 1 save off 2 save points, which should have equaled him to Ramsdale for game week 16. Really happy overall with him. Does worry me though that he had to make so many saves against a Norwich side that haven't been that great this season, which might show some vulnerabilities in that United defense. Definitely a vulnerability in our own FPL defense is going to be Reece James. I think this is the second game week in a row that he has returned 0 points, and I think since 3 game weeks ago only returned 1 net point. At least his colleague Marcus Alonso returned 4 points. At least some returns came from Marcus Alonso after he conceded that first penalty, which wiped out that double Chelsea defense clean sheet. But I guess the Chelsea defense isn't up to scratch at the current moment. However, they do have the best odds for a clean sheet in game week 17. At least our other defenders did get us some points. We have Ben White with a clean sheet, Cancelo with 7 points, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold with a clean sheet and also 3 bonus points to boot. Was actually super happy that I started Ben White for this fixture. I just thought that I wanted to play the Arsenal defender not only for coverage from Ramsdale, but also because he was nailed to start when Jota and Smith Rowe had some concerns about their rotation. Jota did actually start on the bench but came on for Liverpool, and he actually had a massive XG, so a couple of chances that Jota actually had in about 30 minutes of game time, which just shows you what a great option he is even if he does come off the bench. But now that we've spoken about the 1-point appearance on our midfield, we can finally talk about our 9-point appearance from Mbeumo. I mean, what's going to make you watch Brentford take on Watford if you aren't a fan of one of those two teams on a Friday evening and have you screaming up and down after Brentford equalises the penalty in the last minute of that fixture? Well, that was me on Friday evening when Mbeumo managed to convert the penalty, and that also took him to some bonus points, which overall made him score 9 points in game week 16. Mo Salah, our final midfielder and our captain for game week 16. I'm a little bit lucky against Aston Villa. I thought overall they defended quite well, but that penalty from Tyrone Mings managed to give Salah the opportunity to score, and he did convert the penalty really well against the Martinez that loves to save the odd penalty. So really happy with the captaincy return, especially when a player like a Ronaldo actually was a captain by a few people in the community. So at least Salah kept track with Ronaldo even though the fixture wasn't as great. The only thing about Salah though is that he didn't get any bonus points, which is a little bit disappointing, but I mean, he is returning so many points these past couple game weeks, I'm not going to complain about that. And then finally, going on to our forward department, our new addition, Ronaldo, managing to score a penalty as well. A lot of penalties in game week 16, I don't really know why. Maybe it's just the time of season, maybe the refs are being a little bit more proactive with those penalties, but there also were a couple of ones that I didn't think were actually penalties. But luckily, the Salah Ronaldo ones I thought were, and those two players were in my squad, and that took Ronaldo up with some bonus points to 9 points. But finally, a little bit disappointing was going to be Antonio for West Ham with a lovely fixture against Burnley, and that game just seemed to be quite dead overall, and Antonio ended with 2 points yet again. The past couple game weeks haven't been kind to Antonio, and the only time he actually got an assist was when I benched him, I think last game week. So overall, pretty good game week, happy with the green arrow. It could have been a lot more, but there were, as I said, some other high ownership players like a Rafinha and a Gallagher who did end up scoring for their teams a little bit unexpectedly. But now going on to our transfer plan for the upcoming game week, and I just want to say I'm not going to be making any transfers tonight. I will be waiting for some more confirmed news, but if a team like United have their fixture postponed, I think it might be quite likely that I go for Aston Villa versus Norwich player, and that'll probably be Ollie Watkins for Ronaldo. I just think that Villa have some nice fixtures coming up. I thought against Liverpool, they actually played quite well. Stevie G has them attacking quite nicely, and I do think against the Norwich side, most teams can score except for Spurs and Harry Kane. So that might be a transfer that I do just to make my starting 11 slightly better. You'll see my current starting 11 coming up, but I just want to talk about my transfer plans for this upcoming game week and the options if the postponements do go ahead. As I mentioned in the introduction to this video, if the postponements weren't going ahead, I actually was planning to bank a transfer just because my current layout, the only team I want to get in is a Man City midfielder, and I can't really do that with only one free transfer. Unfortunately, with Ronaldo being brought in, David De Gea being brought in, don't have much money in the bank, so I can't really make that move for Mbeumo or Smith Rowe at the current moment. But with 2 free transfers, I might be able to shift some funds around, maybe even take a -4 to get the money out of Alonso in the defense, to get a full Foden or maybe a Bernardo Silva. But now with the postponements, if I do downgrade Ronaldo to the likes of Ollie Watkins, I could actually maybe upgrade one of my midfielders to a Bernardo Silva or Foden. Gundogan, I'm a little bit worried about with that back injury, but I just think those Man City fixtures look great, and I don't think those fixtures will get postponed for the upcoming game weeks. In terms of the other option that might not play in Game Week 17, David De Gea, I don't think I'm that keen on taking him out just because most goalkeepers this week that I'd bring in don't have the best of fixtures, and if David De Gea does have a double game week coming up, I might want to keep him just for that. So unfortunately, no concrete plan with the transfers, might bank, might not, just depending on the news, but I would pay attention to Twitter tomorrow, especially if you guys want to get the latest up-to-date news on the postponements. But otherwise, I will probably do a video tomorrow, might not, I'll just see how my time goes at work to hopefully update you guys on what I'll be doing with my team. But now going on to the Game Week 17 team, and as I mentioned, this is currently with no free transfers used. This is basically going to be the best starting 11 if I don't get any postponements, especially the United game, because the United assets are going to be quite integral, not only to my goalkeeper position, but I would really like Ronaldo against the Brentford side that haven't been great from a defensive point of view. Luckily, if you guys navigate to the bench there on the right, I do still have Ben White and Adam Armstrong that might recover from an injury for Southampton, but that's up in the air. Unfortunately, Cancelo did get another yellow card, so he's suspended for this Leeds game. Would really have liked to have him in my starting 11, but at least he is getting a rest for a busy festive period. But going on to that starting 11, the defense looks overall quite strong here. I've got David De Gea against Brentford that might obviously not play, but if he does, could potentially have a clean sheet in there. I've got Reece James and Alonso, highest odds for a clean sheet in Game Week 17 against Everton, a side that have been struggling a little bit overall, attacking wise and defensive wise, so that only makes Reece James and Alonso a better option if they do start. I'm really hoping that these two Chelsea fullbacks or wingbacks do play, because there might be some concerns of rotation considering the form that Chelsea haven't been in from a defensive point of view. But at least I do still own Trent. I mean, I think everyone does own Trent, but great fixture against Newcastle. Saw against Leicester how bad they are overall, similar to kind of Everton. So I do think Trent has a clean sheet and some attacking threat in this game. I am going to be going for a big 5 if every game does go ahead. I'm going to start off with Smith Rowe. I've mentioned the concerns about him. Martinelli's actually playing quite well. I guess that would probably be the biggest substitute or biggest rotation pair out of that team, because I really don't think that Odegaard and Saka are going anywhere. So at least Smith Rowe has recovered from that injury as we hoped. Didn't get any game time on the weekend against Southampton, but maybe he does fit in to that starting 11 against West Ham, considering that is going to be quite a tough game and a London derby as well. Douglas Luiz is actually my interesting choice that I would be going for, just because I really do favour Aston Villa against Norwich. I think this game could be quite a good one for Aston Villa, and that's why I don't really mind playing the Brazilian, because he actually does offer some attacking threat for a 4.5 midfielder. Mbeumo as well against United. I might not play him, might play him depending if this fixture does go ahead, just because I do own David De Gea, so I'm actually hoping for a clean sheet on that front, and I do think the odds of a United clean sheet are slightly higher than an Mbeumo goal. Mbeumo has actually been playing quite well. Ivan Toney probably will return to that Brentford starting 11 if the game does go ahead. So we might see a shift in how Mbeumo has actually been setting up. Might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. Who kind of knows? But the fact of the matter is that I might actually have to play him against my goalkeeper. But now going on to our 2 midfielders that I'm super hyped about owning. It's going to be Mo Salah that everyone owns, but also Diego Jota. Might be because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I do think this Newcastle game could be quite a high scoring one for my midfield department. I think that Jota will definitely start. I don't think Firmino is anywhere near starting. I don't even know if he was on the bench on the weekend. And with Divock Origi out injured as well, I think that Jota starts right into that centre forward position. Salah will be my captain for the upcoming Game Week 17 against a Newcastle side that aren't great, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be going for him, so it might be too much of a risk with this lovely fixture for Liverpool. And then finally, our forward department, Cristiano Ronaldo and Antonio. Not expecting too much from Antonio. I do hope that he scores against Arsenal if I do bench Ben White, just because so many people do own Ramsdale, so a clean sheet wipeout will be quite pleasing if I don't have an Arsenal defender in my starting 11. But if I do start Ben White, probably hoping that Antonio stays quiet, because his form's been pretty bad, and I do think the ownership of a Bowen has been skyrocketing over these past couple game weeks. And then finally, CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo against a Brentford side. This game might go ahead, might not. If it doesn't go ahead, I could easily take Ronaldo to Ollie Watkins and just hope that that Aston Villa game does go ahead as well. But if Ronaldo does play, great fixture to be honest. He's shown some good form over these past couple of game weeks, and I have no concern about him with his attacking threat against a Brentford side that haven't been too great overall. So as I mentioned, a little bit unlucky that we can't have too much constructive talking points in this video just because of all the uncertainty. And I wouldn't honestly be too mad if you guys do own a lot of United assets, maybe owned a lot of Spurs assets last week. I'm pretty sure there's lots of people that are going from 3 Spurs to 3 United this week. Don't be too mad about it. We can't control the uncontrollable. And in FPL this season, it's been a little bit more luck-based than usual. But that's basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it if you did and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. I won't be doing a deadline stream tomorrow evening, but I'll hopefully be creating a more up-to-date team selection maybe later on tomorrow afternoon, just so that you guys can get the most up-to-date news as possible. But I would also recommend following me at Dayvy FPL for the most up-to-date team selection as possible if I don't make a video. I'm signing off though. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.